Welcome back to the Reach Every Student podcast with me, your host, John Rubin. Today, I want to take a deep dive into the trenches of my classroom to show you how I manage the cognition crisis without using digital stuff. So I can make sure that students are not pushing the easy button of AI so that I can preserve their cognition. And so, yeah, welcome to the Reach Every Student podcast. Let's get going. So I'll be walking through the day in the life of the Flip Mastery Classroom. So in the Flip Mastery Classroom, my students are going to have watched a video the night before, typically. All right. So I'm going to use my geology class. It's technically called GMO, Geology, Meteorology, Oceanography class. Now I want to walk you through kind of the day in the life of in my classroom. Now, first of all, before I really go into this, I need to have a confession. Some of the things I'm talking about right now is going to be aspirational. I have not been following what I'm about to say as well as I can. And what I'm planning to do, okay, so this is the future plans. My students are starting next class, next week, a new unit, unit 9. So we've been 8 units in, doing some other things, but I keep tweaking it as I've been thinking about how to make this work. And so I'm going to talk about what this ideal day looks like and what I hope that it will look like starting in Unit 9. So this, truth be told, honestly, this is not 100% like what I do. This is what I want to do and what I plan to do. And so I'll report back in a subsequent podcast what this looks like. So here's the deal. Number one, students have watched a flip video. So I'm tracking who watches the video in online too. So they still have some digital work, right? This is the AI engines. They're going to watch a video beforehand, and there's now some AI tools that can monitor stuff and they can talk back for it. These tools are in development, and I'll share more about these as I start to use those. So, but right now they're just watching the video. I'm using a tool that tracks who watched the video, and they're going to walk in the room. And then, as a note, the first thing I actually do is that we take some time as a class to to get to know each other. I have a question of the day. It's how I do attendance, and so like question of the day today is like, hey, what is the thing you're looking forward to most this weekend? I'm recording this on a Friday. Something like that. Or I might ask a question like, what is a couple days ago, it was what's on the lock screen of your cell phone? What picture? And they describe the image, it's your friends, or the default. Some kids said it was kind of funny. So I do that. That's just how I take attendance. But you do whatever you need to do in that. But then what I do is then I'm going to, this is planned at least, is the students have watched these notes, and then I'm going to just take a couple of minutes and then just discuss the things that they should have seen in the night's video. Now, I have in the past used Flint K-12, it's an AI tool, to have them each ask a question, but I want to make it even more analog. So this unit, I'm not going to have them do that activity. What I'm going to have them do is we're just going to have a 5-minute conversation with a whole group. And then I'm going to then in that conversation say, in today's activity, today I'm going to say, here's the things I want you to do. You're going to answer some questions based upon this video that you watched. And or there might be an experiment. Now we teach in a block schedule here, so I see my kids for 80 some odd minutes every other day. And so what it's going to do is that oftentimes if it's just for the content day, they're going to have maybe 2 videos and 2 sets of questions. Got it? If it's a day where I'm going to do an experiment, they might have 1 video or 1 set of questions and then 1 experiment. And if the experiment is longer, then they wouldn't have watched the video at all. They would just have a active learning day. So you got the picture. And once I get them started on their activity, whatever it might be, the experiment or whatever, I then walk around with my pen. So I have a pen, I walk around the room, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be signing their notes. So now I am checking their physical paper notes. So here is 9.1 right here. You can see it right here. And this is where they're going to fill out the notes. So I have a graphic organizer that the students will have filled out, and I'm going to sign it. I'm checking that they've watched it, and I'm going to make a mark. And by the way, I have been doing this electronically, and I'm going to go back to like old school. I'm going to have a clipboard, and I'm going to say check. They've got their notes. And then I'll know if it was done on time right away. It'll be easy to check for when I input it into the grade book or whatever. And I'm going to just put my little JB on there, John Bergman, a little JB, and that knows that they have done that on time. Now, and besides just signing it, though, I want them to ask me a question. So I've had them do that with the AI, but I'm going to get them in clumps because, I have classes that aren't like small necessarily. And then I'm going to get a group of 3 and say, boom, fire question, boom, fire question. And what I have found when I've done this, and I've been playing around with this, is that they ask good questions, A, and B, oftentimes their questions show me they have a misconception. All right, so I'm walking around group to group to group. Meanwhile, of course, they're working on these question sets. Now, how are they working on the question sets? Oh, back up. I should have probably said this. I am going to insist that their laptops are closed, they're back in their backpacks. The temptation for them to jump on a device is crazy. Now also policy of our school, students are allowed to have cell phones during instructional time, and so they have to put the cell phones. I don't know if you can see back behind me, but I've got a little like a sleevey thing. They have to put them in there, and actually the rule is that they have to put it in there and they turn them off. So I want it to be a no digital zone. Got it? So they are then answering the questions. They have paper copies of the textbook that they can use for reference. So they're going to be working independently or typically in small groups. This is the analog roots of the Mastery Flip. Remember, Mastery Flip is AI engines, analog roots. And so then they're going to work on this. So if it's a day that you have, for example, two lessons, right, because it's block schedule, they might have 2 lessons to complete, or it's like lab and lesson. Then what I want to make sure they do is they work on these questions and they're going to physically write the answers. So again, I'll show my analog roots. Here's the paper thing that they've got. They've got a packet that I printed up. They all get a copy of the paper packet. And you can see right here, here's the 9.1 questions. It looks like I have 6 questions. And I've sketched out what I want the answers to be. Got it? And when they are done, they're going to call me over. And they're seeking signature number 2. And then they're done, right? And when they get signature number 2, this is where I have the Mastery Viva, where they have to defend their understanding of the topics. And so what I might ask them a question like, explain how your understanding of question number 4. And it says, what is produced when the 2 most abundant elements combine? That's probably too easy of a question. So it's about salinity. This first unit is on salinity or lesson, and they need to talk about the salinity of oceans, for example. But I've also printed out, AI really helped me with this, pretty cool. I said, what are some ways to take these questions to really demonstrate understanding well? And so at the front of my Unit 9 packet, it's written out some questions like, actually, there's a lab question. In your salinity lab, you layered different solutions. So it's going to go back to the experiment that they've done. If you had a sample of water from the Red Sea versus the Baltic Sea, what would you notice? The Red Sea has low salinity and the Baltic Sea has high salinity. I have to remember. It's one of the two. I know it's the reverse. And then they have to explain some things about. So they have to demonstrate understanding. This is that Mastery Viva where they have to explain what they're doing. And then once I sign the paper a second time, in my book or my paperclip thing or my clipboard thing, that's what I'm looking for. On my clipboard thing, I'm going to just check off that they've got it. Boom, they have mastered that. Very simple process. And then later on in the grade book, I'll just say they got 10 out of 10 or whatever the grade I want to give. And I'm going to then say, boom, they have mastered this concept. And then we'll do the next one and the next one. And by the way, for the experiments, I would do the same thing. Is once they've completed an experiment, again, I'm not taking papers home to grade. No. I can't manage all my classes and do that. I'm going to be grading them on the spot. When they're done with their experiment, they're going to show it to me. I'm going to ask a couple of key questions still. We've got this Mastery Viva, right? This is the human check. This is something they have to verbally explain. Our students don't know how to talk to adults sometimes. And I'm going to force them to talk to an adult and to speak in higher level language. And they're going to be using paper stuff to answer the questions. And that's the cycle, right? So they come to class. There's check number 1 is, how did you do on last night's video, right? Sometimes it's a reading, by the way, but typically in my class, it's more a video. And then they do some work. And then they get checked again with just verbal confirmation. If they're struggling with a question, I'll come over. They're going to raise their hand. I'm going to walk around. I'm walking around this room day by day by day, and then I'm checking their work, and that's the cycle. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be doing at the end, and this is something I really know is best practice, and I honestly haven't done it as much as I want. So I'm committing right here from the world, I'm going to do this, is that I want to do a preview at the end of class. So for the last 5 minutes of class, I want to then introduce them to, if you will, tonight's topic. So the salinity is the first topic, and I'll do this. They're taking their tests today. So salinity is the first topic. So at the end of class today, I will teach them a little bit about salinity in the oceans. And then I'm going to talk then at the end of that, say the first class, which is be next week, whatever, I'm going to talk about next version is temperature variations and layering. So it turns out that the ocean has like layers that's layered based upon temperature and also salinity. And there's some weird graphs. And so the idea is it's like a mini lecture to prepare them for the video lecture they're going to watch. And this is pedagogically, reason-wise, is they're now getting another touch point. When John Hattie was reviewing flipped learning and its research, the reason he said flipped learning works is because you get more touch points. Students get in contact with the content in more different ways. And so my students will hear it from me for just 3 minutes to introduce it. And then maybe there's like a vocabulary word that's kind of hard for them to comprehend. Boom, I'm looking for that hard subject that they're going to see as they watch the video. And so, and it's also preparing them to go, oh yeah, that's the thing that Mr. Bergman talked about. And it's again, cognitively, I'm trying to like lower the cognitive load. So as they watch the video, they will be able to understand it. So this is a 5-minute mini little lesson where I'm going to go over the video, or sometimes the 2 videos content, so they can kind of like, oh, okay, that's the thing I should look for. So like highlight the key points of that video so that they know what to look for. And then, yeah, I repeat the cycle. And so that is the day in the life of the Mastery Flip. And it's low tech, and I want it to be high cognition. Because as I've said before, my fear with the AI world is that students have lost. I mean, research is showing that students are not thinking critically as much. They're pushing the easy button with AI. AI is a very powerful tool. I used it this morning, and I want students to use AI. So hear me carefully. I'm not saying AI is bad. AI bad. No, that's not true. But AI can be bad when used inappropriately, when it's used as a shortcut, as the easy button for their cognition. And I don't want that to happen. So yeah, day in the life of a Flip Mastery Classroom. I hope this is helpful for you. And yeah, if you like the podcast, please push the subscribe button. Share it with your friends. You know the deal. Hey, this is Mr. Bergman, John Bergman. Hey, go out and reach every student.